royals and television, are nothing new. I mean, they always cross paths, seemingly really all thanks to the brilliance of the late Duke of Edinburgh, His Royal Highness Prince Philip. I told you previously that he was a very clever man because he saw this as the medium that in fact could kickstart how we view the coronation, and what a spectacle it became. I've said to you before, we have him to thank for pushing heavily against all the naysayers with the BBC and saying, no, we should really put this on record. And how right he was, because it's still being shown today, we still look back at it, and we have that documentation. That's all thanks, of course, to the Duke of Edinburgh. But there was another person who was quite pushy in television as well, none other than Earl Mountbatten. That's right, Lord Louis Mountbatten of Burma. And what was fascinating about Louis Mountbatten, he was one of these characters that really loved the limelight. I mean, he seemingly warmed to it far more, in fact, than our late monarch, Queen Elizabeth II. Now, when you consider it, you see, it's fascinating with him because way back in the 1920s, if you remember, he was pictured with all the big silent stars of the time. Charlie Chaplin, Mary Pickford, Douglas Fairbanks Jr., all at Pickfair, making sure he was on their videos, films, whatever they were called then, making sure, of course, that he was seen because he saw this as a way of promoting himself, particularly into the American market. That's how powerful Hollywood was back then. But you see, Lord Louis was one of these people, I told you, he got involved with the movies as well, offering advice to the Cockleshell Heroes film, and that was very much appreciated. But he always wanted more. He wanted to make sure that he wasn't forgotten as a member of the British monarchy, pushed forward. And if you see any event, he's definitely there ready to speak to a camera. But speaking to the late and brilliant, and I thought he was terrific, ladies, Jack Jones, the singer. Well, Jack Jones, of course, let this bombshell out to me, and I wanted to share it with you. Let me explain. Hi, nice to see you. Thank you so much as ever for taking the time out to join me today. Lovely to have your company. As I say, when you meet these people and you look back at the interviews, at the time they're normally promoting an album or something, so that is the sort of focus of it, You have to get the album in and the tour and, all that sort of stuff. But it's the stories around it that I particularly like. Now, Jack Jones, as you know, was the theme singer for the wonderful TV series that I absolutely adored, of course, created by the brilliant Aaron Spelling, The Love Boat. Be honest, who watched that and wished you could have had a trip on the Love Boat? It was brilliant, wasn't it? And each week, all those wonderful guest stars. Did you know, in fact, they had more Academy Award winners on that TV series than any other in the history of television? Amazing to think, isn't it? What's fascinating also is, as Jack said, although he'd been offered the theme tune, they also wanted him to become a regular, but he only really appeared, I think, once or twice, once alongside his father, the Donkey Serenade man himself, Alan Jones. That's right. But what he did point out was this, that at one point they almost bagged Lord Louis Mountbatten. And apparently the reason behind this was that Lord Louis was very keen to get his charitable work, his endeavours, known a little bit more in America. Now remember, this is the 1970s, the internet not there, but an association of a royal in a major TV series would definitely 100% work. You see how this works. Now, here's where it gets really interesting, because apparently Aaron Spelling, everything was very keen, he got it nailed down, the money was going to go to charity, and it was just going to be one of those cameo things. They couldn't decide whether it would be actually filmed on the ship or indeed just filmed in a studio and inserted. That bit hadn't been worked out. But according to Jack, things were going swimmingly until the cast list was presented. See, in that particular episode, they also had this man. That's right, the British actor Peter Lawford, who, by association, was married into the Kennedy clan. And the reason why this had to be put on ice was simply this, that Lord Louis felt that any association with any political family party just wouldn't work. But they'd already written the story, so it was kind of like one of those misdemeanors that they couldn't get out of, Now, Peter Lawford had no axe to grind at this point, of course. He's pretty grateful to be in anything. His career's not going incredibly well. He's out of the Rat Pack, that sort of stuff. So consequently, he thought also that association would work very well. Sadly, at the 11th hour, that couldn't be, but Lord Louis said he would consider the Love Boat again if they could find a suitable opening and opportunity. Now, you might think, oh, this is a bit of a stretch. Not really. You know, Lord Louis was on This Is Your Life, a British TV programme, and he knew all about it well in advance, despite feigning surprise, let me tell you. He also appeared on things like the children's TV programme Blue Peter, so he was very much, as we call it today, keen to get his brand out there. And more importantly for Lord Louis, he felt that the Love Boat would have reopened him up to a younger, funkier audience in the 1970s, all thanks to the worldwide success and ratings-busting weekly TV series which was on ABC. Now, did they miss an opportunity? Should he have just appeared? Would it have mattered? Well, apparently, according to Jack, it was simply different times and it faded away. Aaron Spelling was never able to get it together to get Lord Louis back, literally, on the high seas. Neil Sean in the very heart of London.